just having a little iced tea with lemon on a wonderful Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it's not as hot as it has been, but it's still pretty hot.
It's warm, but it's early. And I'm in a really good mood today because I recently started binge watching Bob Ross on Netflix.
Oh, yeah, I saw that's on there.
Mm-hmm. I believe it's called The Joy of Painting.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like a best of. There's like, I don't know, 15 episodes or so. And I grew up watching a lot of OETA, so it's not completely foreign to watch this guy, but I've never really paid attention to it in the way that I do now. Mm-hmm. And man, I will tell you something. I'm in a state of nirvana because of Bob Ross.
Yeah.
Do you know about his backstory?
No. I mean, again, when you're a kid, you flip through channels and like OETA, it's like Sesame Street, blah, 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 and then Joy Pain with Bob Ross on. You watch and it's always, there's memes everywhere with Bob Ross. So I'm aware of Bob Ross.
Happy Little Cloud.
Happy Little Clouds. Yeah.
So I knew about the memes and stuff, and I remember watching a few episodes when I was a kid. But I've been watching it again, and so I went down first of all, I went down the rabbit hole and read up on Bob Ross last night.
Okay.
And he was in the Air Force, and he was a staff sergeant, I think is what they call it. I could be wrong, but anyways, he was pretty high up in the Air Force. And when he left the Air Force, he's quoted as saying that he was never going to yell again, and maybe that's when he adopted this persona.
Yeah,
this
soft speaking,
and he is, and so my wife and I have been watching this, and we're just like, God, he's such a sweet man. What a sweet, gentle man. So last night, Eric and I are going to lay down, and then she was really tired, so she falls right asleep. And I'm on my iPad, and I'm looking on YouTube, and there's a Bob Ross documentary on YouTube. It's an hour long. It's called The Happy Painter. Okay. I was like, all right, this is going deeper than the Wikipedia. I'm in. So I start watching it, and about 4 minutes in, I just start crying.
What?
Yeah, dude, his story is so sweet. His parents seem so awesome. Like, it was the documentary. It's a decent documentary, but there's a horrible music bed under it the whole time.
Yeah.
So besides that, it's decent. But yeah, I had to X out of it on my iPad because I was like, I can't be watching this shit.
It was getting too deep.
It was getting to me, man. It was, it was late.
Yeah.
It was really sad, and I don't know, and we've been talking about this like existential dread, and I started kind of slipping into that. Oh my gosh, he's no longer with us. This wonderful, beautiful man is gone.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. So you didn't finish the documentary?
No.
Okay.
I X'd out of it, tabbed out of it because number one, I didn't want to cry myself to sleep.
Sure.
And number two, I was like, I got to show this to Erica.
Oh, watch it together.
We're gonna cry together.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like that.
So what's been going on? How's your week, man?
Good. It was a decent little week, aside from, the blistering heat this weekend. Other than that, it's pretty, all in all, good.
It's so hot right now here in Oklahoma that you don't want to go outside during the day.
No.
Like walking from your car to your front door, you'll start sweating like crazy and feel disgusting. And it's so humid. Mm-hmm. It's just like your clothes stick to you. The air is heavy and hot.
Don't like it. Well, the other day I was taking the dogs out, and it was like 7, 8 in the morning. And just taking them out for like a couple of minutes, I was already sweating at like 8 in the morning. That's not right.
No, it's not good at all.
Right.
So anyways, this episode we have our friend Vaughn Wood, and this is episode 9.
Episode 9.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Again, you can go to boyspodcast.com to enter the world of this podcast and see all of our social media links and episodes and rundowns and things like that. And also there's a donate button on our website. If you like what's going on, you like listening to this show, consider throwing a few bucks our way. It helps with bandwidth. And we've had a few donations so far. So thank you to those of you who donated. It means so much to us. And when that email pops up.
Big thanks.
Yeah, it's awesome. So we appreciate it. Vaughn's an interesting guy. We've known him for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Long time. I was a little, not nervous about doing this one. I just didn't. It could have gone everywhere. And it kind of did.
Yeah.
But it was a little more. It wasn't as like an expose kind of a thing. It was kind of just, what this podcast is. It's going from, you as a youngster to who you are now, what made you who you are now. And his story is Man, it's a damn good one.
It is, and it's like a success story.
Sure, it's very inspiring.
I mean, this guy went from, you know, and I mean, self-admittedly, a guy that was on a road to nowhere.
Yeah.
And now he has completely changed things around, and he's living a super healthy lifestyle, which we all aspire to do.
Yeah.
You know, and I was a little nervous myself because, you know, I know Vaughn, but I don't know him very well, not even as much as you know him. And I've known him for a long time, but we've never been super close.
Right.
But we talk about all that. But yeah, I mean, I told him, I said, you know, you were just, a lot of people who have made these huge life changes like this, they're kind of burnt out, or they're kind of, you know, fried or weird or faded.
Yeah.
And he was just like so well spoken and had his thoughts put together so well. I could tell that he was ready to kind of tell his story.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It was awesome. So yeah, without further ado, here's Vaughn Wood.
I can't do anything about my voice.
It sounds good.
That's good. Right there is great.
Okay.
You sound like
if you need to move it. It's whatever.
No, it sounds good. You kind of sound like a cartoon character. I dig it.
Well, my whole life's basically fucking giant cartoons.
Well, and that's exactly why we brought you on the show. Welcome to Boys episode 9.
Yeah, episode 9.
We got Vaughn Wood here with us, and you know, before we get started, I just want to plug the website and all that good stuff.
Yeah, boyspodcast.com. Also, you can email us at boyspodcast@aol.com. The AIM thing.
Wait, is that real?
Yes.
Dude, yeah, we went way 90s with it. So I was
Were
really,
they out of Hotmail accounts? Or?
well, we really wanted a
Juno.
Juno, but yeah, apparently it's no longer a thing. So see, there it is. There's that. Yeah, going out headphones again. I got it. We're good now. But
about
who
now?
knows? Who knows how long it's gonna last?
All right, I won't touch it.
Nope.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I made
it's
a minor
cutting it.
adjustment. And I fucked the whole thing up.
Anyway,
Sorry.
yeah, you just go to boyspodcast.com. It's pretty much a portal to everything. But the AIM thing, I downloaded the AIM app because I wanted to aim people. And
Under Boys podcast.
Under Boys podcast. And you know what? Apparently it's not gonna let it happen. I think it's a sign from God.
Do people still log into AIM?
I don't know. I have no idea if they do or not. That's what I was hoping to find out. Are there still aimers? Is that still a thing, or is it going to be creepy and weird?
You like log in and there's all your old friends. It's like my AIM name was X Bob Wiley X.
It was X Bob Wiley X,
which is my favorite Bill Murray. It's actually my favorite movie of all time.
Oh, what about Bob? I'm going to say top 5.
It is fucking epic.
It's a great
Well,
film.
it's funny, Vaughn, because I had you on my buddy list. And we didn't know each other very well back then, and we're going to get into all this. This is the whole reason we had you here tonight. But yeah, I remember X Bob Wiley X, and I didn't know what that was because I'm such a noob when it comes to movies. And I was like, Bob Wiley. I thought maybe it was a song, like John Dooley.
Nope.
But it definitely wasn't.
I hate
in
Breed
retrospect.
song.
Yeah.
This next song's called Bob Wiley.
But going back to the AIM thing, a lot of X's back then. A lot of X's. Preface, suffix.
Well, it was, and then they would double up. The big X, little X.
Oh.
And that was there's usually a girl, like XX Starry Eyes XX.
Yeah, well, the whole thing behind my exes were I was super confused at that age. I claimed to be straight edge, which I'm at this point everyone knows what that is. You know, I didn't drink, smoke cigarettes, have promiscuous sex, which I did. Actually, at the time,
I did all of it.
yeah, I did. But I mean, all of it, you know, I claimed to be straight edge because I mean that was really the group that I ran with at that age, and hardcore kids. Mm-hmm. I listened to a lot of straight edge bands, and you know, the crazy thing about that is the majority of the kids that I ran with they weren't even old enough to drink legally, anyways. And I know that didn't stop a lot of people, but
sure.
By the time I was 19 or 20 and I'd actually started drinking, I was like, fuck this, you know?
Yeah.
I actually have straight edge tattoos.
Okay, see, that was going to be my question because I know a few people that have the X's or some sort of symbolism, you know, and have since remove themselves from the lifestyle, which I don't look down on that because a lot of people have cross tattoos and do a lot of unholy things.
Well, I actually have a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I've got
well, he's got the Mary. That's pretty.
I do have a Virgin Mary up here on my arm, and then I've got I didn't go with the X's. I went ahead and just spelled the motherfucker right out. It just says straight edge right there on my wrist.
Well, that also, if you went to carpentry or some sort of like, I always like a good straight edge.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's going to be my next business venture.
I draw squares for a living, basically.
I'm obsessed with straight edge.
So 90-degree angles only. That's all I can do.
So yeah, okay, let's go back in time here.
Absolutely.
When I met you, and I know Josh goes a little further back with you, but this is all about me. No.
Yes.
But so when I met you, those were how do I say this? They were the party days. They were my party days.
Yeah.
They were your party days.
They were my party days.
I met you back. Let's call it the Gatewood days. That's probably when I first encountered Vaughn Wood.
Oh God.
The El Nino of young men. Let's get honest tonight, man. There's no bullshit.
Yeah.
This
bullshit.
is a riveting tell-all. It will be a riveting tell-all. So you guys used to throw these parties at your house. There was several people living in this 2-story house in Gatewood.
Yes.
In Oklahoma City. And I don't even know exactly. I think maybe it was through you or how I got introduced to that circle.
We lived right. Me and Mikey P lived right behind them in another giant ass house, and we would just kind of go over there and throw parties all the time. So it's probably one of those like we were maybe at a lecture or something like, hey, there's a party tonight or something or whatever, and go over there and hang out. Is that how you meet Vaughn through that?
Yeah, I want to say it was maybe even pre-Gatewood, the Highlands.
Did you ever go to the Highlands house, Highlands apartment?
No, I don't think. Maybe.
That's kind of. I know that's where Josh was introduced.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
think I came
was
a little
introduced
later.
to Vaughn through. I believe it was Xbox Halo nights and shit like that. I think that's
Okay.
You're gonna get pissed whip.
Gonna get pistol whip.
Okay, so see, I'm not too far removed because I remember that.
You
little
remember Pistol
tune.
Whip?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So yeah, you guys used to throw these parties, and they got big. There were a lot of people in this house
Yeah.
drinking, partying,
Yes.
doing
doing a lot of things. And when I was introduced to you, and this is what I've always said about you, Vaughn, I said, thank God I'm on his good side. Because let's be honest, man, you could have been, you were scary. You were scary to the wrong people. And we'll get into all that. But going back, I was like, dude, I like this guy. You and I always got along.
Absolutely.
We weren't like when we would hang out at these parties, like we weren't like shoulder to shoulder all night, but like we always kind of had this mutual respect for each other.
Absolutely.
It was a good time.
Yeah, oh man, the Gatewood days are absolutely almost a blur. I mean, it is, I'm sure we'll dive into the later years as well, but I mean, a lot of time has passed between those days and,
For sure. It was like 10,
no,
more than that, right?
12 years ago.
12 years ago.
Yeah.
And, exactly what you said. I mean, we were never call each other every day and see how you're doing, but it was absolutely one of those things where you see Robbie and always want to give him a big hug and, and always want to, you're one of those guys just like Josh that we can always find something to laugh about. It doesn't even fucking matter. It can be how fluffy a fucking cat is. And we're going to laugh about it.
Exactly.
And, man, I absolutely feel the exact same way.
I did feel a bond. It was weird, and I felt a bond with other people in that scene in that house. But I always felt like, I'm gonna be honest here. I was always like, man, Vaughn's got my back.
Yeah,
I was like, because I'm not a fighter.
Yeah.
Never have been. I'm a little soft, but I was like, this guy's got my back. And like I said, I was always super glad that we were in good graces, so to speak.
Well, for me, I always thought of those times as like our college years because we didn't really go. I mean, some of us did. We did
Not the traditional.
No. Like we would do like usually in college is where you meet like your group of friends, and we all know people who've like went to college right after high school and had that all their college friends, and that's their crew, and like that's cool. But I didn't do that right away, so I had this, and you meet a shit ton of people through other people, like. Apparently, like the Mikey P thing, like I met him through the Gatewood thing, like, and then you just meet other people, and like the Beeve and fucking the subgroups,
right,
the Shawnee
right.
kids, Dean Bittman, like all that whole crew, like, and they all just kind of came together, and then we brought in the Kelly Johnsons and the Tories, and like,
and some Choctaw people,
Roman, like, bringing it all together. It was
the tri-area.
The Tri-City area, bringing it all together.
Well, it was crazy because it was just this big conglomerate of people, and we were all basically just getting together to get fucked up.
Absolutely. I think that was the...
And earlier when you said it was a blur,
yeah,
couldn't agree more.
Yeah, sure.
And we've talked about this before on the show, but I am so thankful that all of those times that I went to the Gatewood House, or we hung out at Electro or Sidecar or wherever, that I didn't get, first of all, I didn't die.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's many times I made some horrible mistakes. I drove when I shouldn't have. I hung out with people I shouldn't have. And I do look back on that. Not the
Am I one of the guys that you shouldn't have hung out with?
No. If so, I wouldn't have invited you over, man.
Am I one of those guys?
No, but we've all came from that. I feel like we've learned things about ourselves.
Oh, God.
You know?
Definitely.
So yeah. So let's go back and let's stay back in time there. There were some incidents, man. Like, you know, I would remember, like, you'd be in a real good mood, and then all of a sudden you were pissed.
Oh, yeah.
Do you just attribute that to just your headspace back then, or?
Oh, you know, I mean, here's how I look at it. So, you know, I'm upstairs in my room, minding my own business, reading my Bible, and someone, you know,
right, yeah.
No, you know, I don't know if it was just. I think even from a very early age, something that I've learned about myself in probably the last 5 years is that I never felt a part of. I mean, I could have 150 people at my house, and I'm always struggling to be, you know, to be a part of. And what I don't even see it. I don't even see that these people are here to hang out with me or to have a good time. I feel like I have something to prove. And I was, probably from the time I was 16 till, you know, 26, that 10 years was constantly, what can I do to prove myself to this group of friends? Which, I mean, you know, half of them I still am in contact with, half of them I'm not. I was super confused, you know, and I was, I always felt like I needed to step it up a notch. And I mean, as you guys remember, I was constantly stepping it up a notch.
Oh yeah. You were the guy. You were the guy that took everything to the next level.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, man, just looking back, it was pretty astounding, to be honest. You know, just to be totally honest, I was always like, man, because I mean, we're a little older, you know, not too much older, but I always was like, dude, I didn't know that, first of all. I didn't know that, you know, you felt alone in a crowded room. Yeah. Basically.
Oh, absolutely.
I thought that you were just this dude on top of the world, like spinning the world around in your hand. This party world. Yeah. You know? And to hear that now, it totally puts things in perspective.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think we were all kind of lost back then. I mean,
oh yeah.
Dude, I remember, I call it chasing the cat. Okay. And I don't just mean vagina. Yeah. I mean, like, dude, I look back on those party days and I think of all of the girls that I had crushes on. Okay, there's one in particular. I'm spelling the name out. Like,
oh yeah, I gotcha.
and that might have been another bond that we shared as far as maybe a mutual admiration as a person.
Yeah, I love her.
You guys were like best friends. Yes, and I just walked around with a heart on the whole time. And I remember just chasing the cat, so to speak. And I don't know, like I kind of felt alone in that respect. Like I would get these airs of like a little flirtation, you know, from her, from other girls, but you know, there wasn't much weight to it. And no offense to these women, it was my stupid ass chasing the cat the entire time. But looking back, it's like, dude, what the fuck was I doing? What an idiot.
That makes, you know, that not just vagina, but I was constantly chasing that feeling,
right?
You know, of, well, yeah, we had 100 people in our fucking 900 square foot 2-story house.
Right.
we can definitely get 150 here this week, you
Right.
know?
and chasing, making it bigger and bigger and bigger.
And trying to recreate that first feeling of,
Sure.
you know, everyone coming in and, you know, I can remember people like looking to find me to give me a hug. And, oh, it's good to see you, Vaughn, and always wanting that. And, man, but I battled myself so much back in those times because as soon as, you know, that feeling would fleet, I would be like, well, they're only fucking here because, you know, there's 2 fucking kegs and drugs upstairs.
Right.
You know,
A bunch of girls and whatever. Yeah.
And so, you know, I never attribute it to anything to have to do with me. I always told myself, I don't even necessarily know if that's the right saying. I was absolutely, when you put alone in a crowded room, when you say that, I mean, that spells it out. But I was always looking for, you know, chasing the cat, always looking for the next good time.
Well, and I say chasing the cat, but the term that I'm basing that off of is chasing the dragon. And that's like a drug term.
Absolutely.
And whether it's doing drugs or drinking or partying or sex or popularity or whatever, like you said, you're always chasing what happened last weekend and you can never catch it, you know? So whether it's doing drugs or boozing it up or getting laid, it's after a while, you know, after you're that hamster running on the wheel over and over again, it wears you out.
Yeah.
And then you start to see the cracks and you start to see that this isn't the life that you want to live forever.
Yeah. And it's really, I mean, how long it takes, I mean, you know, I've got friends that are much older than me that I still see, you know, are still chasing it, man. They're still after it. And, you know, it's scary. It is so scary to think about, you know, how long we spend doing that. And, you know, I don't necessarily regret. I absolutely don't regret any of those times.
Right.
I 100% would do every single one of those things that I did again.
Well, looking back on it, and it's cool to talk about this because it's not like you're telling the story and that we weren't there. We were there.
You were fucking
You know?
there.
Yeah.
I remember standing on the back. There was like a back porch area.
Where
and
the
you could-
That was our laundry room.
Laundry
Yeah, it was a
room.
laundry room.
And I remember,
And there's one little stairwell thing. Yeah.
and there would be like 20 people smoking cigarettes out there.
Yeah, because you don't want to smoke out front. Fuck that.
No, not in that neighborhood. Shit. But I remember there was one night out there, we were all like huddled up smoking cigarettes on that little back area, and you could see into the bathroom.
Oh yeah.
And I saw a certain Jessica Sinclair taking a piss. And so that night the seed was planted for this inside joke is I'm watching you pee, girl. And if by chance she hears this, I know she's going to remember that because we didn't hang out, but every time I saw her, I'd be like, hey, can I come by and watch you pee sometime? And it was just this fun little joke we always had. She's great. But there were several like, do you remember You Got to Have a Job to Smoke This?
Of course, I
come on,
fucking remember
come on.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh
shit.
my God.
Gotta have a job,
I mean,
smoke these, overload.
Yeah.
God, I and that's another thing is that I would fucking, if it would really only take one instance to get on my bad side. And, you know, because I was a fucking prick back then. And, yeah, I mean, I say this poor guy, I mean, whatever. But, you know, you know, he lived with us for a long time. We took care of him and helped, you know, really take care of, I mean, and that was kind of the theme of those days is that just come on, we'll figure a way, we'll figure it out, you know? And, but golly, I mean, we'd really razz the shit out of some people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, to the point of tears. I mean,
Get a job, sir.
God damn it. Yeah. You know, that was kind of the price you pay when you hung out with me is that, you know, I'll take care of you, you know, and I did for a long time. I picked up the tab for a lot of people for a long time, but it didn't come without a price.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I absolutely fucking made you feel it. And, you know, that's another one of these things I look back on and I don't want to say I regret, but because I learned along the way how to treat people. And, you know, I don't treat people like that anymore. And, but I had to I had to really learn a lot of hard lessons over the last decade. And, that's one of them is that I can look back on those things and man, some of those times were really fucking funny. But also they're a little dark,
Yeah, totally dark times, man. And like you said earlier, like I don't regret anything that possibly I've ever done. No, I don't regret anything from those times. But looking back, you get the highs and the lows, and there were some dark times. And okay, I'm just going to throw this out there since this is a riveting tell-all. There was a time that me and a group of buddies dropped ecstasy and came over to the Gatewood house.
Oh, yeah.
And which, we probably weren't the first people that were on that drug.
No, we were all listening to Of Montreal.
Yes. That is, to me, that is the summer of Montreal and ecstasy. Let's just say it, okay? Fuck it. Oh, I just cracked the mic.
Blew your headphones on.
Sorry. So, okay, the summer of Montreal and ecstasy. We came over there, and when we showed up, I don't remember who told us, but they were like, dude, the house just burned down next door.
Oh my fucking God.
I remember that
and
shit.
We were peeking when we showed up.
Oh no.
And with an Uber, of course. It was way before Uber. But anyways.
Yellow Uber.
Yes, the yellow Uber of yore. But so somebody told us that and we were standing out front and then all of a sudden we could smell it. You could smell the burnt carpet and perhaps the burnt bodies, and we were tripping, so it was freaking us the fuck. It's the last thing you want to hear if you're doing ecstasy.
Did you hear? You were told that night that it was like a children's
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was so dark. Speaking of dark times, when somebody told us that, and we could smell it and you could see it. It was dark outside, but you could still see what was going on. That might have been the turning point where it was like, oh, wow, we're so lucky that we're still alive.
Yeah.
And maybe the drugs were helping things
bringing things into perspective
materialize.
Yeah. Sure, they do that.
Scary stuff, man.
Yeah. I still had very little respect for human life at that time. I remember that. It's so crazy because, the way you tell that story and I can hear it and feel it, the way that you feel about it. I didn't feel it. I mean, I didn't fucking care really.
I feel like maybe it might have been because you were just in this party mode, alpha male.
Like, how dare you die today, sir?
I run this shit. You're not dying. You know.
It was like, how dare you fuck up a good thing like this?
Right.
That's so fucked up.
But that's what it was all about back then. It was all about partying.
Yes.
And even as I get older, I'm not this working for the weekend kind of guy.
Yeah.
Because when the weekend rolls around, I just want to chill at home. I'm not adventurous.
Gonna mow that lawn.
I got to do my
house.
my dad duties.
Yeah.
But back then, I was more like working for the evening.
Oh yeah.
Get off work, get your 12-pack of beer, a little of whatever, and then show up, party hard, and who gives a fuck if you're hungover in the morning?
Hungover in the morning? More like it's 6 o'clock in the morning and Vaughn and Josh are still awake, so we go to the Buy for Less and buy a 30-pack of High Life.
Did that on
several occasions.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I didn't have, and I always prided myself in I never got hungover. It was crazy. And obviously people saw it. I was ready to go.
Yeah.
Hey, wake the fuck up, asshole. It's like, let's do this. And people are like, man, you gotta stop. And you're like, you gotta, today is not the day. No. I'm like, every day is the fucking day.
In a way, I guess it kind of, maybe somewhere deep inside of you was a seize the day mentality of, or maybe it was just, let's just party all the time.
No, that is... I was so scared that it was at some point all going to end. It was like, when does,
the shadow looms, sort of a thing.
It's like I don't want this time to end like this. I had very little responsibility. I didn't. I had bills and just like everyone else.
Yeah, but AOL was paying the tab, dude.
AOL picked up the tab.
Well, dude, I remember interviewing at AOL and running into you at the mall when they were stationed there. And that was right around that time.
Yeah.
And I thought, here's what I thought. I thought, this is the most partying motherfucker I've ever met in my life. This guy will not stop. He's like the Energizer Bunny
Party machine.
of partying. Yet he has this like decent job. Like he's holding it down.
I worked there for years.
Forever. For, it seems like a long time.
Which is funny because that doesn't even exist now.
No.
I mean, AOL exists. Boyspodcast at AOL.com.
Yeah,
nice
but
plug.
I mean,
But
plug.
but the position doesn't exist anymore.
No, that fucking no, man, it didn't, and I got out right at the right time.
Well,
I fucking-
and she who was spoke of earlier got a great job doing that.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
moved on to great things. I have no idea what that turned into. Is that still a thing? Probably not a thing.
No, I don't know if they employ anybody really. I mean, at that level,
Right.
Right.
They probably have
they-
a small operation,
Yeah, I mean,
Robots, computers, things like that.
outsourcing.
Yeah.
yes. But I mean, as far as like the call center, and I eventually got to work in like human resources, and but that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, that job afforded me to do the things that I did. I would always try to get the earliest shift.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would try to get the 5 a.m. shift.
So you could be off.
I could just drink until 5 a.m., go to fucking work, take a nap. Oh man. So do I have time for a quick story?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I living at Gatewood, and it's just a stone's throw away from the old job, and I'm working the 5 to 2 or 5:30 to 2:30 shift. And, oh man, I'm beat. I'm tired. It's lunchtime. 9:30. It's
When
time.
you eat lunch.
So I know I got a little pick me up back at the house, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna go home real quick. So I jot on down to Gatewood, get all jacked up, head back down, and there's that dip on Gatewood. And
I remember that
I am
dip.
fucking flying down Gatewood going 50 in the Cavalier and hit the dip, bottom out. I'm like, oh man, that didn't sound good. Got to get back to work.
Deal with it later.
Deal with it later. My motto. Pull into my parking space, roll in, had the security come out, and he goes, hey, son, you got red stuff leaking all out of the bottom of your car. And I'm like, I am so fucked up. I cannot handle this today. Not today. I mean, shit. I was so, and I left that car there for weeks.
Oh my
Just
God.
fucking left the car there for
Deal with
weeks.
it later.
Deal with it later.
yeah.
Not today.
If later ever comes.
Yeah, today is not the day we're
Yeah.
going to deal with a hole in my transmission paint.
But that's how we've changed over the years, is because I used to kind of have that mentality. It's like, party tonight, deal with whatever later. But as I get older and kind of come around, I mean, I still enjoy a beer, some other things every now and then.
Absolutely, and as you should.
Yes, of course. But I don't deal with it later. I got to deal with that shit right now, because if you don't deal with it now, it turns into a huge problem later.
Well, that's the thing, like doing the other things that kind of puts that in life into perspective, and you go, oh, it's kind of get fucked up, they're not having a good time. Like, but man, shit. Well, I've been putting that off. I'm just gonna do that right now. I'm just gonna do this right now. And then before you know it, you're online paying like a bunch of bills, and like I'm just gonna set up auto pay on like everything. And you do that like that. That's the more responsible way of getting fucked up.
Well, that's the thing. When I do other things,
Yeah.
I clean the entire house.
too, dude.
When I do other things, I catch up on my bills. Yep. And when I do other things, I mow the yard, because I'll tell you what, mowing the yard while
Oh
you're
my
doing
God.
other things is
Man,
awesome.
dude. It's amazing, especially with like earbuds in or something.
Dude, I put earbuds.
Headphones. I don't have headphones. What are you? Was 1982?
Well, you leave yours over here, but dude, put on some fat ass cans and mow that yard after you did some other things, man.
All right.
It will take you into a time warp.
then getting done with the lawn and then going into the shower and drinking a beer in the shower.
Right.
Dude,
Oh, the old shower beer.
the post-mow shower beer is it's a nice thing.
I had the opposite the other day, because I'm trying to kind of cut down on the beers.
Shower bath?
No, hold on. Yes.
Fucking beer bath.
That's where you lay in the bath, but you still leave the shower running.
Oh, that's a good one.
I've done that after a Gatewood party.
Of course. Well, you got to wash away the shame, and there's only one way to do that. Is
Have you ever seen The Crying Game? It's that exactly.
What happened?
Yeah. No. So I used to have the post mow the yard beer, sit on the back porch, look at your beautiful yard, drink a beer. So I'm trying to cut down on the beer, trying to lose a few pounds. So which this sounds totally stupid. I'm trying to lose a few pounds, so instead of the beer, I went and got a Brahms malt the other day.
Sure, because that's better.
A $4.29 large styrofoam cup.
Oh my God. Every time I order a large, I'm like, well, this is really fucking big. I'm like, why didn't you give me the medium cup that used to be the large?
Lie to me.
Right?
Lie to me. Lie to me. Charge me more and just lie to me.
I sat down with this vat of malted vanilla ice cream, and I was hot. God. I was so hot. Because tell you what, here in Oklahoma, it's a sticky son of a bitch. It might not be the most high temperature, but it's humid. It's hot. I sat there on the back porch and I drank the entire fucking thing.
Ugh.
Oh God.
I didn't eat dinner that night.
Why would you?
Right. Yes, you did. It's called fucking vanilla malt.
But that's, talking about growing up, it's like, that's how things shifted. I used to want to
I know, I'm sitting over here salivating. I don't want this fucking vanilla malt.
Sounds great.
Well, speaking of, I tell you what, we're going to take a quick refreshment break.
Okay.
And we'll be right back.
This episode of Boys is brought to you by FatBison.com. Fat Bison Workshop is a tattooed guy in the middle of nowhere who makes custom hand-carved hardwood signs built to order. Mention the Boys podcast and get free shipping. FatBison.com. Custom hardwood signs. Bold, simple, naturally beautiful.
Welcome back to Voice Podcast episode 9 with Vaughn Wood.
Yes, and thank you so much for coming over, man. This is a blast. Like we were talking about outside on our break, we had you in mind from the get-go, and it's really cool that you came over and sharing your story and kind of where you are now and how you got there,
It's amazing. And I thank you guys so much for asking me. It's always an honor to be able to share these times, you think about those times and I think we all view them differently. Mm-hmm. And, to run into you guys and have you guys want to, kind of finish the story, a lot of people from my past, they've never heard how it ends.
Right. And that's what I wanted to ask. So partying, we're all having fun, doing stupid shit, and with little to no consequences most of the time.
Yes.
There were consequences, which we'll get into. But I guess my big question is, when did the key turn in the lock and you realize that it's time for a change?
Oh man. Just kind of jump ahead, I drank and we all split off and did our own things. And, my life took some absolutely crazy turns, very, very scary turns at times. And it actually led me to getting sober in 2012. And, I've been sober ever since. As far as there being one, bright light experience, I mean, there's really not. I mean, it was a culmination of things, running out of options, not wanting to really wake up another day and do it another day. Mm-hmm. Really being down and out. I can't even really put a finger on one specific instance. I mean, I've been trying to get sober for years.
And it was a battle.
It was an absolute battle. The hardest thing I've ever done is to give up drugs and alcohol. And, it was something that I wanted so bad. And that's what's crazy is I tell that to people and, mm-hmm. Kind of like you guys. I mean, I see you out, you know that I'm sober,
right?
But there are still, I mean, you have no idea. I mean, I run into people all the time. They're like, oh yeah, fucking Vaughn, and that's just something that I have to live with is that forever, probably for the next 20 years, there will be people from my past that don't ever know. They don't ever know that things changed. Mm-hmm. Every once in a while I get the opportunity to showcase that my life is a little bit different. And I say showcase, that sounds kind of arrogant, but I get the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation, which I was hardly capable of doing before I got sober. And so, you know, just again, I wanted to extend my gratitude for the opportunity to do this.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, even just sitting down and talking to you today, I can tell that you're in a completely different headspace. Because we always had fun. We always had something to laugh about. We always will. But I can just tell, even before we hit record, when you showed up today to the illustrious Boys Studio here, Oklahoma City, I could just
War Acres.
War Acres, Bethany, Oklahoma City. Let's just say
all the
Oklahoma.
same. It's all the same.
My address is no, but I could just tell, man. Like, and even though we don't talk all the time, we're friends on Facebook, and I could just tell. I was like, dude, this guy is completely different. I mean, you still have the same sense of humor, you know, but it's not fueled by this addiction and by the chasing the cat, whatever your cat is, whatever breed of cat you're chasing, you know, and. You know, a lot of things have changed over the years, a lot. And one thing, you know, to be totally honest, like sitting down tonight, I like to have a beer or two when we're recording. And the thought did cross my mind, like, okay, I know Vaughn's sober. You know, everybody deals with addiction and sobriety different. Some people, it's a constant struggle till the day they die. Some people wake up one morning and it's not a struggle at all, you know? And I was kind of like, well, should I have a beer tonight? I mean, you probably felt the same thing. Like, like, is it gonna piss you off, or is it gonna, you know what I mean?
Vaughn gonna start fighting people?
Yeah.
Look at people.
He's gonna leave us all beat the fuck up on the air. No, but you know what? I was like, I think it would be doing you a disservice not for us to be ourselves.
Absolutely.
And you don't want people to guard themselves.
No. My sobriety isn't and cannot be affected by what happens, you know, outside of my personal space. You know, I work in the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
You know, I make money when people drink.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, I still have several friends. You know, I still hang out, you know, with friends that drink and, you know, and do other things.
Right.
And, you know, and I, you know, obviously I have to use my best judgment on when enough is enough. And, you know, we have a saying, me and some of my friends, you know, you hang around a barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut.
Yeah. Right.
And so, I mean, I try not to spend, a whole lot of extra time in the bar, you know, in the bar scene.
Sure.
But by all means, I'll go to barbecues where friends are drinking and having a good time. And as long as I have a reason to be there, you know, I don't want to take away, you know, my presence is, you know, I don't want to take away from anybody else's experience. You know,
I think that's the problem with a lot of people who get clean, so to speak, is either they think they can't ever have a good time again, or they think that they're going to bring everybody else down. And to me, that's kind of like a self-centered thing. It's like, people are still going to drink, you know, people are still going to do other things. People are still going to have fun in their version of fun, but you can have fun without all that stuff, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, my wife still partakes and still has a good time and does it responsibly. Something I was never, no matter how many times I tried, was still capable. That she still is able to do that. She can have a glass of wine at dinner. And, you know, I was like, okay, get a bottle, and then we need to get out of here by 9 o'clock so we can stop out of liquor, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's me. And, but it's not like that for her. And it's not like that for the majority of my friends. It's not like that for you guys. You know, you guys aren't, you know, you guys don't have it, you know, and it being, you know, alcoholism or addiction or whatever. But yeah, for a long, long time, I didn't get sober because of that feeling that I was talking about earlier. I'm never going to have that feeling. I have that feeling every fucking day I wake up.
Yeah.
I feel better than I've ever felt in my life every day I wake up.
Well, and there's something to be said for that, because even if you cut down, you try to make these like small changes,
which I've done.
Yeah, it never works. It never works.
It never works. And, you know, for me, the most dangerous place I can get is complacent. And I can think that, man, I can do it. You know what? It's going to be different this time. It's going to be different. Don't you worry.
Yeah,
you know? And then I walk over to the fridge and have a beer. And what I do these days is, you know, I can't even tell you the last time I thought having a beer was a good idea. But, you know, back when those thoughts would come up, I would just play that tape all the way through. I mean, I know I will be at the high-low at 1:59 trying to beg Dave for another, you know, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's on the hunt for the other stuff. And I have the capability to play that tape all the way through. And I know that it's not going to be different next time. And, you know, that sobriety to me is at the top of my priority list. It really is. Because without being clean and sober, I don't make good decisions. I'm not a productive member of society. I've come to that. I've realized that. And, you know, I still laugh. I still have a good time. You know, I always thought, man, I'm going to be a fucking teetotaler. Nothing's going to be funny anymore.
Right.
Fucking life sucks. And I spent a lot of time trying to get sober like that. And what usually happened is I ended up drinking, and you know, I was right back to square one.
Well, it's like you're just spinning your wheels.
Oh yeah,
and go, you know, they'll one step forward, two steps back.
Oh,
And it's funny you bring up the term complacency, because it's funny. What's awesome about this podcast so far is everybody we have on, there's like this recurring theme.
Yeah.
Recently, it's been this complacency, doing something big, making a change. You know, it's the underlying theme of this show, and
without even like trying to make it be, it just kind of naturally comes up. Which
exactly
is pretty crazy.
Yeah. And so, okay, so before we go any further, let's go back a step and let's talk about the stabbing.
Oh yeah.
Can we talk about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, just to even rewind a little bit more, you know, in 2009, I was blessed with a wonderful son, Mookie.
Rad kid.
Adorable kid.
Yes. He's amazing and one of the loves of my life. And, you know, what's so crazy is everyone knows that I'm sober, and I've been sober for a few years, and they kind of correlated. Everyone's like, yeah, man, I mean, you had a kid, you got sober. I mean, those two things don't have no correlation with each other.
The kid came before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was not going to get me sober. You are not going to change me. I mean, you know, it sounds terrible, but it is absolutely the truth. And, you know, everyone thinks that was enough to get you sober, right? And it's like, no, it was not enough.
No external source is going to make that big change in your life.
No.
You know, you have to make that decision on your own.
Yeah. And me, obviously, there were definitely mornings where you have that incomprehensible demoralization where you're like, oh my God. And you want to be better I want to be better for Mookie. And, you know, I want to be better for my son. But it was never enough. And, you know, a couple years go by, and, you know, I spent a lot of time at the High-Low Club. I did a lot of shady dealings, and ran into some shady characters. And, you know, I was in the trade game. I give you stuff, you give me money, and so on and so
for other things.
Things. And, you know, my concept of reality was so fucking skewed back then. Just real quick, and we'll get into this. You know, about a month before the stabbing, which we'll get into, I had taken this. There's this crazy pill on the market. It's like LSD in a pill.
What?
I don't know. It was, I don't even really, I can't even fathom what this thing was, but I'd taken it, and I'm like, all right. So I take it, and I'm having a good time. Everyone's like, let's go to the High-Low. So a car full of people, we go to the High-Low, and they all go in, and I have this great idea. I'm going to take all my clothes off. And I go into the High-Low butt naked. I go into the High-Low butt
like
naked.
dick out?
Dick out.
Oh my God.
Butt naked. Walk into
Where'd you hold your ID?
Under his balls.
Yeah, Terry LaFrance is like, ID, sir. And, you know, I'm like, oh, here's my fucking ID. No, so I walk right into the High-Low.
Yeah.
Butt naked, no shoes, no nothing. And the best fucking thing about this story is I'm standing on the table having a good time right in the middle. And this guy comes up and is like, hey, fucking guy, put some fucking clothes on, and starts pushing me around. Only at the high-low. This guy, hey, you cut that out. You know, they're pushing this guy. They're telling, Charlie and the rest of the crew are telling this guy to leave me the fuck alone. Like, let him be. And this guy says this thing I'll never forget. He's like, wait, I'm getting kicked out of a bar because I don't want to be around this fucking naked guy. Right. I'm like, you bet your ass you are, motherfucker.
It's my house.
It's my house. And that is, that sums up my party. I had no limit. And, things were spiraling out of control really quick at this point. About a month later, we had a discrepancy outside of the high-low. Some punches were thrown, and I left it at that. Business was taken care of, debts were paid, and went on about my business. Word got around that things were not indeed settled, and that someone was after me, and that there was gonna be a showdown. And so I was super paranoid back then, as it is. My life was falling apart. I had warrants out for my arrest, blah blah blah, and got a guy now saying he's gonna kill me when he sees me. And so I'm in between Speakeasy and high-low, one of those nights, and we run to 7-Eleven, and my buddies go in. I'm sitting outside of the truck, and I turn around, and there's the guy pulling up. There's a couple of familiar faces in the car, and I'm like, all right, here we fucking go. And so I push him, and he, what I thought, pushed me back, and I fell. And when I, lunged to my feet, that explosiveness that I've known that I've had my whole life just wasn't there. And I fell on the ground, and I realized I'd been stabbed right into my lung. And, I felt it. I couldn't move. I kind of got up, and my buddy's come out. He's in the car. He's already gone. Fast forward, they're rushing me down to OU, and they're hooking me up to chest tubes, and it had actually punctured both sides of my lung. And he comes in, the doctors come in, and they're like, man, this, you're extremely lucky. And you hear it all the time, you're really lucky to be alive. I mean, my lung was punctured with a very large knife. And this was just a few days before Thanksgiving. This was in 2010. My son was barely a year old.
Still a baby.
Yeah. And he's sitting on the edge of my hospital bed. It's fucking, man, it's awful. Mm-hmm. It's just absolutely awful, gut-wrenching.
It sounds like one of those things, like you always hear, if that blade would have been 3 more centimeters to the left, you're dead.
Yeah.
But, there's some truth to that.
There is some fucking truth
to it. That's scary, man.
Yeah. And, I was in the hospital for, I think, 4 days. And I got out. And, I was like, this is it. This is good. This is it. This is absolutely it. Well, if you remember a few minutes ago, I said I got sober in 2012. That was not it. That still was not enough. Mm-hmm. It was not enough to get me to change what I was doing. I still, I would even say I progressed in how much I was using and drinking.
Do you think that moment gave you kind of like a fuck it mentality? Like,
man, a lot of times, I used to say it did. And now looking back, I don't know. I had no purpose.
Were you scared?
I was never scared. I was never scared that I was going to die. I didn't care. I swear, I sit here right now and tell you, I wasn't scared that I was going to die.
Wow.
And that's disgusting. It's very real. I was not, I think that there was probably some time in there, in the moment where I might've been scared, but I can remember I can remember years or, you know, time going by and thinking, man, I fucking just wish I would have just died. You know, I really thought that.
So what was the process? Okay, let's fast forward a couple of years. What, you know, a lot of people have that moment. And like I said earlier, like turning the lock, you know, putting the key in the lock, turning the lock. Mm-hmm. A lot of people do it because of health reasons or family or something happens to a friend, you know, and you say that it was kind of a series of events, and some of these events didn't make you falter at all. Mm-hmm. So when you made this change, what was the adjustment period like? Like what did you do differently? Like how did you get to where you are right now?
Well, you know, I was introduced to a friend, and you know, I saw there was something so bizarre about what he was doing. It was like, you know, he was full of life. He, you know, he had his life had a purpose. And, you know, I kind of told him what I was going through and what I had been through. And, you know, I told him some deep, dark secrets, like all the shit that I had done. I mean, and I'm waiting for the fucking ball to drop. I'm waiting for him to be like, oh my God. And he didn't. He never fucking batted an eye. He's just like, fuck yeah, been there, you know?
Right. Yeah.
You know, and it's like, it's fucking real, man. And I'm sitting there with this guy and I'm telling him these things and he's laughing. I mean, this guy's super successful and, you know, and I'm like, and he's like, you're exactly like me. You're just exactly like I was. You know, this guy's from Western Oklahoma, just like my family's from Western Oklahoma. And we actually grew up not that far away from each other. He's a little bit older than me, but our families know each other's families distantly. But you know, he's like, man, our story. I mean, and there's several people like that I've met that are now clean and sober, and that's it. I mean, it was getting connected in with this group of people that are doing things a little bit different, right. And you know, the trigger was seeing there is a way of life after drugs and alcohol. Sure. I mean, if you look at my family life isn't super fucked up. You know, I mean, we have our things but I mean, I have an incredibly loving set of parents. I have an incredibly loving, support system. My girlfriend at the time is now my wife. When I got sober, she's incredibly supportive. My son's mom, who, you know, we co-parent and we do it incredibly well, if I do say so myself. It was a huge part in you know, me getting sober and incredibly supportive.
So you have nothing to blame it on.
Yeah. I mean, I had fucking nothing. I had everyone behind me rooting for me saying, let's fucking do this. Yeah. You're going to die and it's going to suck. And I finally saw this group of people and, you know, I finally had a group of friends that I could relate to and where I saw past drugs and alcohol for the very first time in fucking a decade. Mm-hmm. I saw past drugs and alcohol and, you know, we formulated a game plan to get me sober and, you know, it wasn't treatment. You know, I didn't fucking go to a clinic or
a resort.
I did not get to go to a resort. And I used to always say that. I was like, I fucking wish I could have bedded forward.
I want to go to Palm Springs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Put me on Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
You know, but I didn't get that. And I didn't need that. I mean, I got exactly what I needed, which was, a little dose of harsh reality, mm-hmm. A little dose of love, a little dose of this and this, you know, and.
Well, let me ask you this. This might sound like kind of a rube question, but like, how difficult was it once you made the decision? Because for some people it's easy and some people it's a battle.
I don't think for anyone that is truly an addict or a drug addict or an alcoholic, I don't think that it is ever easy. I mean, it may seem to the naked eye easy. It's never easy. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's not because it's ingrained in you. I mean, mm-hmm. it is a fucking way of life.
Well, it's your life. It is your life.
Yeah. And I mean, I did not know what life was like to not have drugs and alcohol. So yeah, I mean, to answer that, was it hard? It was will always be the hardest thing that I ever did. It doesn't continue to be. Today it's fairly easy. Today it is. Today I don't even, I haven't thought about drinking today. So, and as long as I do things right for the next few hours, I won't, I'll have another day.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So let's get into where you are now. So you started training jiu-jitsu. And again, you and I aren't super close. Like, I'm just seeing this stuff through Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing these photos. I'm like, dude, this guy's come a long way.
Yeah.
Now he's beating people up in a structured environment.
Yeah, and your son is too. You're like a little badass. Like, shit,
Speaking of,
kick my ass.
well, speaking of, Vaughn, you told me that you did some research on the show before you came on.
Yeah.
So we do a little research, and I'm going into Facebook and I'm going through your timeline, looking at your photos, just anything I can pull,
Yeah.
And I see this picture of Mookie, like in the gi, looking. That dude could kick my ass.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, that is a tough looking kid. He's got the cool hair. He's got that look on his face. Like, it looked like the cover of an 80s Ninja VHS.
It did.
It really did. So my question for you is, how did you get into that? Was this, and sub question, was this part of the sobriety or did this come after?
Man, yeah. First and foremost, I absolutely fucking love jiu-jitsu. I have a really hard time getting anything else in my life done sometimes because I'm just obsessing over jiu-jitsu. I mean, it is very therapeutic nowadays. It's definitely, and I mean, I spend a lot of time thinking about it. I mean, I spend an hour or so every other day, maybe every 2 days training. I actually started jiu-jitsu back right after my son was born, as an attempt. It was one of those many attempts as an outlet. But I would go in, and I would have a couple of shots of Rumpelmans before I take the mat.
The totally wrong way of doing it.
Yeah.
And I stuck with it for a very short amount of time then. And, but I've always loved it. I mean, I've always had a love for training and mixed martial arts and jiu-jitsu. But man, I connected with jiu-jitsu even then. And, I always said, well, I'm going to go back. I'm going to get healthy and I'm going to go back. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to go back. And we were really looking for something for my son to get into. Me and my wife and Mookie's mom were really looking for something to get not only Mookie, but I also have a 9-year-old stepson, and who I love dearly. He's absolutely amazing as well. But we were trying to really find something maybe out of the box, T-ball is cool and this is cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Soccer.
Whatevs.
How about you want to kick somebody's ass?
But Mookie is, he is a different cat, man.
Yeah.
He is very quiet. He is very, he's so sweet. He's got a sweet disposition. I didn't know if he would take, and he took, man. He took on jiu-jitsu, and he absolutely loves it. He excels in it. I mean, he does really good at really good. He does way better than I'll ever do.
Oh yeah.
But, so he started, and, one of my absolutely best friends in the entire world, he broke in the Gatewood House. He was a roommate at the Gatewood House, Dallas Niles. Dallas Niles, is a brown belt, which is the belt right before black, in jiu-jitsu. And, he talk about persistence. This guy has always rode my ass about coming back, and he's like, come on, don't be embarrassed, blah, 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 and, I'd bring my son and I'd avoid Dallas at all costs.
Right.
I'd bring my son, drop him off, I avoid Dallas.
Right.
I can only do that for so long. You can only duck and dodge for so long.
Yeah.
And finally, I was like, fuck it. I'm going to do it. I was in a really good place. I was in a place where I could, I could afford it financially. Wasn't a stress. I had a little bit of extra time. I was where I could, and jiu-jitsu is awesome. You can do it early in the morning. You can do it in the afternoon. You can do it in the evening. It really, you can fit it into your schedule. And so, I absolutely, took hold of this, and, you asked if it was a part of sobriety. It absolutely, I do it with a couple of my buddies that are also sober, and it absolutely gives me a different outlet. Rather than just sitting around drinking coffee with friends. It is a different outlet, and it's very, very good for my mind and soul.
It's super active too. Like it keeps your, like, not only keeps like your mind off of things, it maybe work towards like a goal. You know?
Absolutely, man, absolutely. You know, I compete when I can, which is a lot of fun. I love doing that. You know, I've always been super competitive. Unfortunately, the path that my life led me on, I wasn't ever able to achieve anything super successful on a competitive level. I wasn't ever really good at anything. And so this is something that, you know, I'm 31 years old, but I'm still able to compete, and I'm still, you know, and I don't do it that often. I mean, I have a full-time job,
right?
But it's an extremely important part of my life. And, you know, it's so good for the mind and the body and the soul. And, you know, I fucking hate running.
It's the worst.
Running.
It's the worst.
I hate lifting weights.
Yeah.
I hate lifting weights, but I can get behind choking somebody. You know?
Right. It's old school Vaughn. It is in old a new school way.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, and speaking of the job, just to move it along here, like, so how did you get involved with like Empire and what's going on now?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a lot of people don't know, but Rachel Cope, who is an owner and operator of Empire Slice House, we actually we were in the same second, third grade class.
Now, is this the Rachel that I'm thinking of?
Rachel Coe?
Is this Rachel from Gatewood days, Rachel?
Nope.
No,
okay.
no,
Not little Rachel.
No.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah.
A lot of incestuous things going on here tonight. I just want to make sure.
No, Rachel and I both grew up in Jinx, in Tulsa. We were in the same second, third grade class. And, you know, she worked for one restaurant group. I worked for another. You know, I worked for a Good Egg for a really long time. And she actually, you know, I got sober, and I think that, you know, word started to travel within the restaurant industry that I was looking for something else. She had a consulting job at Iguana Mexican Grill, and I did that for her for a while. And, you know, some of us just kind of got together and really put our brains together on the Oklahoma City restaurant scene as a whole, which it lacks one thing super important when you're talking about a growing city, and that's late night dining.
For sure.
No shit, man.
And you know, we really had a couple of really good concepts and good ideas, and her and Jeff Chanchaloon, which is the partner and executive chef of Goro Ramen, which we're really hoping we can open before July 1st or on July 1st. It's the goal. But you know, all three of us, and then we added some pieces here and there, and we created a hospitality group, which, man, what our mission really is to promote late night social dining, which is extremely prevalent in the big cities. And, you know, Oklahoma City's, I mean, yeah, we're far behind, but I mean, if you look at our culinary scene, it's really not. I mean, we have a lot of really great restaurants. I mean, everything that Keith and Heather from A Good Egg do is absolutely amazing. Sure. And, you know, there's just some things that they don't do yet. And that's late night dining. And when I say late night, I'm talking 12 to, you know, I'm talking late night.
It's a nice alternative to the grabbing Taco Bell on the way home from wherever you're coming from.
Yeah.
A show, a bar, or whatever.
If you want to, or it's some people like don't eat till it's late.
Yeah.
And you go somewhere like they're closed at 9. Cool. Well,
it also caters. It also caters to the service industry.
Absolutely, and you know, that's extremely important to us as well. We want an outlet for the service industry people. We want, you know, for me, it's a jealousy thing. I'm super jealous of, people in Chicago that get to fucking go eat whatever they want, at whatever time. Yeah, I'm jealous. So you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to bring it here.
We think about that all the time, Erica and I. It's like, why can't I get good food past 8 or 9 p.m.?
9 if you're lucky.
9 if you're closer to the city, but we're out here in the sticks a little bit. So it's like, cool, there's a McDonald's.
Yeah, and
not everybody wants to eat that shit.
And I tell you what, my passion is for this industry. I've done a lot of things, most of which have been restaurant related, but operating and being involved in, from day one, conceptualizing a restaurant from the very beginning has been absolutely one of the greatest things I've ever done. And I didn't have a whole lot of input as far as the food is concerned on Goro. Jeff Chanchelin and Rachel Cope and Jeff's wife, Rachel Chanchelin.
A lot of Rachels tonight.
They actually, they are the brain children behind that concept. My title is actually Director of Operations for 84 Hospitality Group, which is the umbrella company for Empire, Goro, and then in September we'll be opening a taqueria.
I'm so stoked about that. That's
Revolucion. It is the revolution against Tex-Mex.
Hell yeah! Because that's most of what we have here.
Yeah, a lot of
Tex-Mex. And I'm sure you know this, like being in the food, service industry or whatever. You never want to like directly shit on the competition.
Absolutely not.
But let's be honest, there is a need for that because everything here is on the border or Taco Mayo or whatever bullshit. Luckily over here on this side of town, there are a lot of great food trucks, which is weird because I always considered food trucks to be like a big city thing. But over here in our neck of the woods, there's a lot of like authentic
I mean,
dollar tacos and shit.
And you're really not that far from La Original, which is a taqueria that is somewhere in this area. This area to me is one area.
Yeah.
Right.
This is
He's waving his hands wildly.
It's all one area.
Yeah.
But, there are some very authentic taquerias in Oklahoma City. They're not comfortable. I don't want to take my family to them. Right. I'm sorry. I don't.
No, I totally understand.
So
steel bars on the windows and stuff.
What I want to do and what 84 and everyone involved wants to do is we want to create a comfortable, empire with tacos or, but not stray away from the taqueria. We are going to be a taqueria.
Right. Yeah.
We are going to have taqueria items. And that's super important to us too, is that, we don't want to just be a cliche or a gimmick.
Right.
Empire's got some almost gimmicky names and things like that, but the pizza's fucking good.
Yeah, right.
Our beer selection is fucking good. And, that's super important to us that while we want to be fun and have fun, that's not us. I mean, what we really want to express is, the food. We want to focus on the food and the hospitality, which, is so important to me because I also think that, there's very few restaurants out there getting it right in Oklahoma City when it comes to service.
Because it's more than just like bringing someone food. It's an experience. Like if someone's going to spend the money to go out to a restaurant, like make it worth the time. Like they're coming into your spot. They're dropping, however much, $15 a plate or whatever it's going to be. Like, then, say, hey, how you doing? Make them feel comfortable and welcome.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like a show,
Yeah.
It's what I tell our servers all the time. I mean, it's like, you're on the stage, man. Read your audience, give them what they want. If they want to sit and talk to you about their grandparents, fucking talk to them about their grandparents.
You got one other table, like they'll understand.
Yeah. Well, I got to take a moment because this is kind of touching on last episode, but we went and saw a Ninja Turtle movie. And then we came to Empire, oddly enough, wanted pizza after watching Ninja Turtles. And
Subliminal, probably.
Ran into you outside and talked about the podcast, excited for it. Our server that day was the best.
He was awesome.
I don't remember his name, but big props.
What?
He had a mustache.
Oh, you're talking about little old Thomas.
Thomas. It was Thomas. Dude, he was on it.
Yeah.
Oh man,
He was
that makes
on
my
it.
day.
Dude, he was so good. In fact, when he dropped our checks, I leaned over to Josh and I was like, best server.
Are
Yeah,
you kidding?
sure.
Dude,
Did.
he brought me.
I don't know why I'm acting surprised. That dude is.
He was an all-star.
He is.
He truly
I
was.
swear, because we did not say it audibly loud at all. We were talking about like, man, maybe another marinara would be kind of tight.
We
And
ordered
and
the
next thing it's
garlic
like,
knots.
You guys might need one of these. I'm like, dude, you literally read my mind.
We ordered the garlic
Oh,
knots,
man.
and there were 3 of us, me and Josh and his lovely wife Diana, and there were 5 knots. Well, Diana had 1, Josh and I had 2, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, we were getting to the bottom of the marinara, and without even asking, boom, dropped it, and he said, probably need some more of that, and this sounds so trite, but little things like that
Oh, for sure.
make me excited about going back there.
You know what? I'm going to cut this portion of the podcast and I'm going to play it for everybody. You know,
Please do.
But the thing about and he's from Louisiana, Thomas, and he is absolutely amazing. He is he's going with us to Open Goro.
Hell yeah.
You know, he is obsessed over sake and ramen since he learned about this place. I mean, the guy that shows up to the orientation today for ramen with fucking ramen books or sake books.
Really?
He's in. He's in.
Yeah.
Like, let's do this.
This guy did his research.
Yeah,
Nice.
so that's
yeah.
awesome. I love hearing that about him.
Cool. Yeah, he did great. And man, I just want to say we got to wrap up here, but you know, it's funny, like I've talked to a lot of people about sobriety, whether it's on the show or in person, and it's so funny because a lot of people that I talk to, you know, they're gung ho about this new lifestyle, but they're so fucking burnt out. And talking to you tonight, Vaughn, and this is from the heart, man. You were so well spoken, and like I said earlier, I can just tell you were in such a good headspace.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people that come off drugs and alcohol, they're lost, and they don't know how to put a sentence together, and they don't know how to like relate without that social lubricant, whatever it is, whether it's beer or other things. But man, sitting down with you tonight is so eye-opening because I really didn't know what to expect, just to be honest. Because I mean, the last time we really broed down was over an 18-pack and other things. And to sit down with you tonight, it's like, dude, I'm so glad you're still sharp. Man, you're still sharp. You still have it, and you're doing great things. Man,
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
proud of you.
You're still Vaughn. You're just not gonna punch somebody, you know? Like
There's
Outside of the ring.
There is
Outside of the ring.
there's 0% chance I'm gonna hit anybody
yeah.
before I leave here.
And once you get out there, maybe.
I don't know. I'm in crazy war acres. I may have to. You know, who knows?
Well, they call it war acres for a reason. But seriously, I mean, you know this feeling, Josh.
for sure.
You sit down with an old friend after a long time without seeing them, and they're clean and sober, but they're still spaced out.
Fucking weird.
Yeah,
they're
they're
weird.
fucking socially awkward or weird. And it's just so refreshing to sit down with you. And I mean, dude, you're at your peak, dude. And that's why I'm so happy to have you here tonight.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, and when people say that, I've heard that before. They're like, you know, especially I'll go and talk to people who are trying to get sober, and they're like, you can't have experienced what I've experienced. And I just want to be like, fucking let me take you back. You know, I mean, sometimes I wish I could. I wish I could show people what my life was like.
Right.
You know, because it was not, I mean, you guys were there.
Yeah.
You know, it was not fucking great. And I did a lot of I mean, I did it in excess.
Yeah.
But there is hope. There is, you know, you can get past that.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, life can be really good. My life today is fucking awesome.
You are definitely a shining example of that, man. Every time I go to Empire, I hope that you're there, because every time I see you, it's like it's really good seeing you, because it shows me like, fuck, if Vaughn is like,
Of all people,
Vaughn's doing something. It makes me want to be a better person. You know what I mean? Like, I always love seeing you, man.
Oh, that's great.
I guess that's it for tonight. Our time is up. But yeah, man, thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
It's been
Thank
awesome.
you guys so very much.
We'll have to have you back sometime, man. For sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.